What's going on, League? You're dealing with a obviously disgruntled commissioner this week. Never in my life have I seen a worse sports week for myself. Texas gets blown out. The 49ers get blown out. Illuminati gets blown out. And I make an ass out of myself in my first week in Throp's football pool. It's just not a good week. I'm disgruntled, I'm upset. But the show must go on. And here we are, going on a week 3. Love what I'm seeing out of the league so far. Minus Pip. I'll let your peers deal with that. I don't even want to mention it. Quick run down the standings, see how we're doing so far. North Division, led by the Sticky Bandits. Scotty, with a league best 842 points. Very, very impressive wins. I think what we saw in week 1 between Scotty and the Vosses is easily, at this point anyway, the premier matchup so far this year. That was an excellent matchup, and just 842. Wow. Really built up that team over the last couple years, so congratulations. Throp at number 2, 2-0. Doesn't surprise me at all. Throp is always either the regular season champ or in the mix, so that doesn't surprise me. Good job, 831 as far as points there, so really, really close. 1 and 2. Speaking of which, number 3, highest point total in the league are the Vosses. So, North Division, tip of the hat to you so far. This is definitely a changing of the guard, and I think I've talked about it the last couple years. So we're finally starting to see them come out of transition and really just impose their will on the league. So the top 3 teams in the North Division, arguably the top 3 teams in the league after the first 2 weeks. So not much else you can say about those teams. Great quarterback play. Really just, you don't put up 830, 840 points without a complete roster, and I think all those teams really show a complete roster. Old Birdie still hanging in there, 707, so point totals kind of down there. Fair to mention, though, Bird would be second in the South Division as far as points scored, so maybe starting to feel a little bit about how me, Glester, and Pip felt over the course of really the entirety of the league so far. Just really, really good parity in that division, really tough to win it, and you could have easily the best team in the South this year, but reality is you're in the North, so he'll be there, he'll be scrapping. I really like what I see out of McFadden so far. How could you not like what you see out of Jay Cutler so far? So he'll be there. My pick to win the Super Bowl, and I'm going to stick with it, though, because when you look at the rosters in the league, he is top to bottom, the talent's there. Maybe it's the decision-making so far. Maybe just because it's fucking week 2. So Pac-Man, not writing you off. 690 points, by far the lowest in your division up until this point. But like I said, week 2, no big deal. I'm still completely on board with Pac-Man winning the championship. There's no doubt in my mind. Now on to the pillow fight that we call the South Division. I'm somehow leading this division right now. I guess we've got 4 people knotted at 1-1, with me having a division win, I guess, is the tiebreaker there. So, really like what I saw out of my team this last week. Yes, I got destroyed. Yes, there were a lot of good things that happened, though. A lot of youth. I would say easily the most youthful roster in our league, having looked at some of the teams. So, very young team. I do like where I'm trending, though. I don't care enough to win. How about that? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. And that's something Throp and I talked about, is that the point of the opening video was to light a fire under your guys' ass and For Popek, you see the same participation, but I'm not going to say it's bad participation. I mean, the dude sets his lineup at least. Fucking Pip. 1-1, 696. Points scored so far, pretty decent. I'd like to think that Matty Ryan could put the team on his back and you could ride that into the playoffs, especially with that Julio Jones connection. Kind of in the same boat I am at the running back position. Really only have one solid starter, so there may be a few bumps in the road. The thing I would question moving forward is your waiver wire. That's going to be really key as the season moves on. Number one, staying healthy with the guys you got currently, and if you don't stay healthy, what are you going to do as far as the free agent's concerned to make those key pickups? Killing your best friends, which is Glester, really have no clue what the team name means, but this just make a point to say, number one, got my first ever in 8 years, first ever trade offer from Glester, albeit pretty lopsided in his favor, but I don't even care. I got my first trade offer from Glester. He also went from 34 people on his roster, for whatever reason, and bumped that up to 40. So maybe you see a little bit of a turnaround there with Glester too. I've been the beneficiary of this guy's got fucking Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. Please, by all means, leave your roster at 34. Don't make the necessary pickups. This guy's imposing his will on the division so far. I was lucky enough to have one of those week one where you really don't know what to expect from anybody. Scratched out a key win against him, but Doug Martin, if Lamar Miller's the real deal, Percy Harvin's not even playing right now to go with Randall Cobb. So, I mean, he's going to be there at the end of the year. That's just reality. Next is Pip. Not a whole lot to say. Good news is Phillip Rivers is maybe back. Maybe Norv Turner leaving there is a good thing, and they're going to wing the ball around. So maybe, just maybe, I just don't see a team led by Joe Flacco and Phillip Rivers making the playoffs in our league. Great skill positions, let's face it. I mean, he's got, if not the first, I'm trying to think of somebody better. If not the first, then the second or third best running back tandem in our league. He's got to be first. Best running back tandem in our league. Plus, you couple that with Larry Fitzgerald and some of the people he has there at his IDP positions. But you guys know this league. You're not going to get the job done without elite quarterback play or at least consistent quarterback play. And when you talk about Joe Flacco and Phillip Rivers, inconsistency is usually the word that comes to mind. And then Akon. Obviously, you have fun with preseason predictions, and you say one thing could go this way or other, which it could have, and it still can. But I'll go back to what I said about at the onset is, number one, we all have failed at life for leaving Brian Cushing on the waiver wire. Great pickup. This guy's going to attack and attack and attack the waiver wire and the free agency, and he's going to build a roster sooner than later. And you're going to see him start to bypass some of these guys who are content with their rosters and content where they're at. And you're seeing it already. Joique Bell in a PPR league, that's a big pickup. He's not a marquee name, but it's a big pickup. The wide receiver set, you got to love what you see out of Tavon Austin. It's a good draft pick. Did you need quarterbacks at the time? Yeah. But I don't think anybody at the time would have said, hey, good job, E.J. Manuel over Tavon Austin, Gio Bernard, Lacey, and these guys. You couldn't have predicted that. So who knows what's going to happen with Geno Smith, but the point is the ball's already rolling. There's some talent on the team, especially with Ben Tate. And these free agent pickups are what's going to make the difference. The Vosses said it perfect. You saw how much Akon meant to that team as far as setting the lineup, putting it in a position to win, building the powerhouse, keeping the powerhouse. and just moving forward like that. I've got 5 seconds until my pizza rolls are done, which I am stoked about. There we go. But moving forward in the league, I see, me and Akon talked about all night last night, is that, man, you can't really go into any matchup saying this team's going to win, that team's going to win. You really just don't know up until this point, at least. Teams will start to separate themselves soon. And I think Scotty, Voss, and Throp have already kind of set the tone in their division, saying, hey, you better bring 400 points or there's a good shot you're going to lose this week. There's no more the days of 280 to 250 you can get by and win. There were 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that threw for 400 yards, it's just a new era in the NFL, which also means new era in the league. With it being a passing league and a PPR, you're going to see these scores just get bigger and bigger. Throw out vows to score 500 this year, and how could you say he won't? Moving on to this week, I have to make my picks. First matchup, pretty big spread. Maybe setting your lineup, might have slimmed that down a little bit. Myself against Pip. For the same reasons I just talked about, I just don't love his quarterback play. I love his skill positions, but some of them are struggling right now. David Wilson's fumbling the ball all over the place. Morris Jones-Drew's hurt. Chris Johnson can either give you 250 yards or 50 yards. I like the way KC's playing, especially with them playing the Eagles' run defense this week. But still, all in all, I'll pick myself to win this week. I like my chances against Pip, especially if I'm playing against nobody. And then you've got David Goliath, pretty much. You've got the Vosses versus Akon, which he's going to bring it. He's going to set the best roster he can right now, and we'll see what happens with it. It's probably going to be Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton leading the way with Whedon being hurt. But like I said, there's great parity in the league. Anything can happen. In this case, though, I don't see it. I picked the Vosses to go 2-1 to start the year. Gloucester versus Popek, which is, man, Gloucester's had a pretty tough time this year. I mean, you got myself. You've played absolutely nobody on Pip's side, but I'd really like to go back and look at what those players did to see it. Pip would have been in that matchup. Rivers went off, and some people went off for him last week, so that would have been close. And then you've got Popek coming in, who apparently does care enough to win. And I don't know. You'll see what happens there. I'll take Gloucester narrowly, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch. The line is 5 points. I'll agree with that. I think it's decided by 5-10 points tops. I'll take Gloucester in a tight one. If not now, then when, Pac-Man? I'd like to look at the history of our league, and maybe I'll do cool stuff like this moving forward. I just don't have enough time. I'd love to do stuff like this, but I'd like to check out how many people have started 0-3 in our league and come back to win it all. I don't think that's ever happened. So, big matchup this week. Against, really, when you talk about Throp, Voss, and Scotty, this is a very important matchup early on in the season. You've got Pac-Man and Bird facing off. One of these teams, especially for Pac-Man's sake, cannot afford to dig a hole. Not in that division. And it being a division matchup makes it all the more important. So, who am I going to take? I'll take Pac-Man. I took him to win the Super Bowl in our league, so I mean, how could I really go against him? So I'll take Pac-Man narrowly, though. Said same thing as Akon. Bird will have his team ready to play. He'll do everything he needs to do to put the right people in the lineup. But I just don't see Pac-Man losing that one. Last one is, let's just say, obviously, the matchup of the week. You've got Throp versus Scotty. Scotty's dying to get Jason Witten and DeMarcus Ware for him for 2.5, 3 years now. So he's dangling that over his head and, just subtle jabs here and there. But the most thing is on the field production so far, you've got these are the two of the three titans of the league right now. So I'll probably have it on this matchup most, if not all, of the day instead of my own. I am really excited to see, does Scotty really take that next step and go 3-0 and really supplant himself in that division finally, or does throughout Mr. Consistency in the regular season just keep trucking and steamrolling things? So, you know what? Until further notice, I'm picking Scotty. This guy's team's put up in the mid 400s 2 weeks in a row. Drop wants to score 5 run it. Scotty's been closer. So maybe because of the ass whooping I just got from him, maybe because he's a Cowboys fan and he just needs something good to happen to his football life, I'll pick Scotty this week to go 3-0, really just supplant himself in that division and keep the ball moving forward. Some of the people, I didn't write anything down just off the top of my head. Eddie Royal, Jordan Cameron, some of these early season surprises. Good pickups on those guys. And maybe a little bit of a changing of the guard here. I think Tom Brady scored 30-something points last week. His receivers are hurt. They didn't re-sign anybody. So there's been a couple surprises, couple great pickups, and a lot of activity on the free agent wire so far. So that's exciting. It's not necessarily 2-3 teams doing it anymore. It's just consistently, hey, I've got some pickups, go at them for me. I've got this, I've got that going on. And the trading's been phenomenal too. You knew I'd touch on that subject, but the trading's been phenomenal too. A lot of educated responses, some uneducated, but we won't name names. Popek. And again, the last thing I'll say is I really like the direction the league's heading. There's not one team, maybe outside of Akon right now, there's not one team that I'd say, man, that's going to be an easy matchup. I'll pick this team, I'll pick that team. So, great job, guys. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. And we'll just keep this fucking thing going.